Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. If you can hear me, please type 100 on the comment section. If you can hear me, please, I want to see 100 on the comment section. I'm not seeing, so you guys cannot hear me. Please type 100 if you can hear me.
Hi guys, welcome. If you can hear us, type
Please,
100 in the comment section. 100, 100. I want to see the 100, please. Guys, type the 100, type the 100. Welcome. Hi guys, welcome. If you can hear us, type 100 in the comment section. 100, 100. I want to see the 100, please. Guys, type the 100, type the 100. Welcome.
okay, so yeah, um, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's program. My name is Motora Bello, and I will be anchoring today's program with John. Um, okay, so yeah, um, welcome everyone.
Abubakar said 100 minus 100 is equals to 0. Abubakar, please, 100 plus 100 is 200.
Okay, last week we we had an interesting session um with the founder himself, Mr. Tayo, and he came here and he enlightened us about the word leadership. Leadership is all about, and I want to be sure if we all can still remember what Mr. Tayo talked about. So please, if you can give us more highlights by commenting on the comment section what you could remember about leadership, what Mr. Tayo said, Mr. Mayowa talked about last. I don't know. Who can who can brief us about what Mr. Tayo said about leadership last week? Okay, me, I can still remember some things Mr. said. What am I So I can still remember some things Mr. Tayo and Mr. Mayowa said last Saturday about leadership, and I'm going to mention few. Mr. Mayowa said leadership is a service accompanied with empathy. Empathy and service makes a leader. Without that, you are what? It seems like you guys were even listening last week. But yeah, so last week we learned about leadership from Mr. Mayowa on the Tayo lead. Today we have a special guest that would be let us all about character development, Miss Ruth. She will be lecturing us today about character development, because to be a leader, you have to have a good character. You have to develop your character. Miss Ruth, are you there? Okay. Miss Ruth is a management consultant, social and business developer, and licensed mediator. As the head of operations at Lomto School Africa, she evaluates access to healthcare for 100,000 household children. Ruth is also a trustee at the Adia Arise Foundation and excels in people action, media, and storytelling. Her experts as certification, and she holds key positions in moderation. Ruth's diverse background and thoughts leadership sought after speaker on various subjects. Please help me welcome Ms. Ruth as she come on stage now to lecture each and every one of us about character development. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much, Motorayo. Hello, everyone. I hope that you can hear me. So if you can hear me, just let me know in the comment section so that I know that I'm not alone. So if you can hear me, please just let me know that you can hear me. My name is Ruth.
Yes, I
Like
can hear.
she,
I can hear you.
awesome. All right, my name is Ruth, like she has rightly introduced, and I'm hoping that in the next 60 minutes or less, hopefully not over, I will just take us through a bit around character development as a function of leadership. So I will try to share my screen. I will try to share my screen. So that we can walk through that. All right, so you're welcome once again, everyone. Can you see my screen? I need to confirm that you can see my screen. All right, so at this point in time, I don't know, if you minimize, let me know what you can see.
Yes, we can actually see our leadership, leader character, common terms. That's what we can actually see now.
Okay. All right, so I'm trying to. All right, so I'll just take us through a few things before we begin. So common ground, leadership isn't just a title, a position, or a role. It is a state of being. And at every point in time, at least one person. I don't know how many of us believe that, but at every single point in time, every single person that you see, apart from everybody, in a manner of speaking, really, everyone is at least one person. And that's the very foundation of leadership is self-leadership, right? Before we talk about leadership in the sense of working with other people and leading other people, there is a thing called self-leadership, and it's very important. Self-leadership is the basis on which any form of public leadership, any form of service, is carried out. And it is built on the values that we have as individuals. It is built on the moral code, so to speak, that we are individuals. Just a moment, let me ensure that my phone is not a distraction. All right, so it is built on the kind of values that as an individual you've built and the things that you have practiced yourself. So whether you're a leadership, a public leadership position, at your workplace, in church, in society, wherever it is, whether you're in a position or a role or not, I need us to understand one very important thing, that we are always in that position of self-leadership. And for us to be better leaders, for us to create better opportunities to lead, and not just opportunities to lead, or for us to get into opportunities to lead and to lead effectively, we have to understand the basis of self-leadership. Everything that you see that, makes up a good leader has to be done with yourself. You need to practice empathy with yourself. You need to practice self-discipline. You need to have self-awareness as an individual. You need to be aware of who you are and the things that, make you do the things that you do. Anyway, I'm going to go further, a bit further into that. But I really want us to understand that every single one of us who is listening today is already in a position of leadership. And not just because you've been called on by an organization to head something, not just because you have or run an organization, but because you are an individual, and for you to do anything, you have to first of all lead yourself. If there wasn't self-leadership, that self-regulation, you wouldn't be here today, right? It is by virtue of self-leadership that every one of us is in this meeting today. It is by, self-leadership and self-regulation that we're participants in this course, because we have understood certain things, we've made certain evaluations and made a decision to be here. We have practiced discipline, we have practiced scheduling, we have practiced a number of things for us to show up here. And even how much we get from each session through the duration of this course is a function of self-leadership. How we have trained ourselves to listen, how we have trained ourselves to pay attention, how we have trained ourselves to take what we have in terms of information and make the most of it, how we have committed ourselves to different kinds of disciplines is a function of self-leadership. And when you become a public leader or a public servant, it is these things that you have imbibed begin to reflect for every other person to see. So, common terms, I know that we've already had a week one, and I know that in week one we would have done a bit around definitions of who a leader is, definition of what leadership is. I know Mosoria also asked just before she made the introductions, but I'm going to ask again for us to just share, whether from what you learned last week or from what you know as an individual, who is a leader or what is leadership to you. I really appreciate if this is interactive. I know that we can't all unmute and speak at the same time, but we can always leave, comments in the chat section so that we get to see and understand the minds of the people that are here, and we just get to learn from each other, really. So who is a leader in your opinion, either from what you learned last week or from what you've always known, and what you think leadership is? I think I would even go further to say, what is character to you and what is development? So you can just share that in the chat room. I don't see anybody leaving any message. You can just share that in the chat room, and I'll give a minute. I'll give you a minute. I'm giving you a minute of time to just share who a leader
So you
is.
guys, they can actually drop it in the comment section, then I'll display it on the screen for you to see.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. So do we have anyone? So I didn't make this correction, but I'm actually not currently the head of operations of Slum to School anymore. That was my role 3 years ago. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So do we have anyone saying anything? Are we sure we're present? I should be able to see the comments, right? It's not as if it's closed or something. I can see some comments, but I just want to know that I'm able to see comments in real time, right? Hi, good to have you here. All right, so I'm going to move along. Believing that we already touched on believing that we already touched on the definition of a leader and leadership in the previous week. So we've already looked at common ground, and what is common ground to every single one of us here? What is common ground to every single one of us here is the fact that we're all self-leading. We are all leaders in the sense that leadership is responsibility. That's very huge. That's a very key quality or a very key character component of leadership, being able to relate. And I have that somewhere in my slides. So thank you very much, Olani, Sunday, Damilare, for that contribution. So I was going to do an icebreaker, but I see that we're not, it seems like we're not, I don't know if we're typing or to skip that so that I don't have to wait for too long. And I have some time to talk about the things that I need to speak on. So the importance of, effective evolving self-leadership is the basis for effective public service and leadership. So why did I use all these terms? I used these terms not because I just wanted to put some like mumbo jumbo together. I put these terms and I put them together intentionally because leadership, there's a difference between effective and ineffective leadership. And I believe that what we're learning through this course is effective leadership. So I want to be very intentional in how I'm communicating. And I want us to also understand that the function of this course is not just to tell us about leadership, but to teach us about effective leadership, right? So effective evolving self-leadership. I use the word evolving because you don't just learn about self-leadership or any kind of leadership once and for all. You're going to be stagnant. You wouldn't be solution-driven. You wouldn't be able to attend to a lot of needs. You won't be future focused if you're not evolving. So every form of leadership has to be a process of evolution. So effective evolving self-leadership is the basis for effective public service or leadership. And that's what I have been saying, I think, since I began this session, that before you speak about public service, before you speak about outward leadership, there has to be self-leadership. Now we're looking at character development, and I'm going to just define character and development so that we bring it together and look at it in the light of leadership. So character is basically your mental and moral quality. Whatever qualities you possess mentally or morally that defines who you are or distinguishes you from a person is your character. So your character is the kind of quality you have decided intentionally or unintentionally to possess. Your character is who you have decided to be. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people, just go about in a default kind of state, right? And another thing is that we need to understand that default kind of state is not, we are all acting under influence. That's the truth. We are all acting under influence because who we are is a function of the kinds of environments we have been in while we're growing up, the kinds of people we have surrounded ourselves with. Influence is a very powerful thing. Trust me, I know this so well. I know this from the psychology aspect of life. I know this from the behavioral aspect of life. So I trust me when I'm not just saying this because it sounds like something that could be true. I'm saying this from an understanding of how our brain functions, how our brain processes information, how our brain stores information on different levels of consciousness, and how we are a function of every single kind of information and data that we have received at one point in time in our lives or the other. So we're not just people who are moving randomly, so to speak. There is a random aspect of movement, but we're not just moving randomly. We're existing, we're functioning based on influence. The influence that parents, siblings, strangers, friends, society, social media, books we've read, places we've been to have on us, are the things that have formed a lot of our mental and moral qualities, right? If you were born into a Christian home, for instance, there are tendencies that you're Christian. If you're born into a Muslim home, for instance, there are tendencies that you're Muslim. If you were born into a home with, parents with particular kinds of characters or attributes, by just knowing who a parent is, I can almost always accurately tell the kinds of children or the character components or the qualities that the children will possess, because this is the power of influence. It's just certain times that people intentionally decide that I will think for myself, or I have a thought process, I will make evaluations, and I will try to make certain adjustments. So basically, whoever you are right now is who you have accepted to be, either intentionally or unintentionally. So if you're just who you are, like your character and your moral code and everything can just be something that seems like default. Oh, this is who I am, or this is how I am. You're not just like that. You're actually, acting under influence. So it is important that as individuals and as people who are growing up, we are able to evaluate our mental and moral codes. We're able to evaluate certain things and make certain decisions as to the kind of people that we want to be, or the kind of people that we want to become, right? It's not just enough to say, excuse me, this is my character. I'm a hostile person naturally. I'm not a patient person naturally. I don't like to be given responsibilities naturally. That is not okay. We need to evaluate, why am I the kind of person who is naturally hostile? Why am I the kind of person who is impatient? Why am I the person who is generous? It's not just for things that have a negative connotation. Evaluations are very important. I feel like I've jumped into another slide of mine, but I'm just trying to help us understand how character comes about. It is something that would happen intentionally or unintentionally, and I'm hoping that every single one of us that is here today would choose to have traits, would choose to have qualities, would choose to have character components that were intentionally put together. We would choose what influences our character, even on a subconscious level. We choose the kind of environments that we are in. We choose the kind of things that we accept. We'll always make evaluations and the necessary adjustments. Anyway, I'm just trying to make the definition of character and to let us understand what informs character. Now, development is the process of being developed. And when you talk about development, I love that the topic is about character development, right? Development is a process thing. Development connotes process. It connotes that process of being, right? So that is something that is ongoing, something that is continuous. And what this tells you and I, that our character, just like I said, evolving, our character has to remain in a process of development. It has to remain in the process of growing, in the process of advancing, in the process of maturing till death do us part. That should be the paths you make when it comes to character development. That I would be a person who is given to development as a leader, as an individual, because as an individual, even without titles, without roles, you're self-leading. So it is very important that you're a person of growth. It is very important that you're a person who is constantly seeking to improve the components that make up your character, improve the components that make up your mental and moral qualities. All right. So let me see if I can do this. We can't everything. Can you make it full screen? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can you see my full screen now? Components that make up your mental and moral qualities.
Yes, but it's still showing can you maybe expand this a bit?
No. So I'm going. Okay, just give me a moment. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can you see my full screen now? All right, so I'm going page by page. So some pages might come in that might be, oops. want to be sure that, let me do it this way. Nah, that's too tiny,
Yeah, I think,
right?
yeah, it's too tiny. Increase it a bit.
We good this way.
Yeah, I think it's okay like this. Yeah.
But it's not
No,
full.
no, it's too much. It's too much. Just take it back a bit.
Okay, so I think,
I think the three works.
all right, sorry guys, just give me about a minute to sort this out. Sorry? No, it's yeah. All right, so let's work with this, can we?
Yeah, we can.
All right, so the importance of character in leadership. Leadership is really about expected outcomes. At the end of the day, a leader is put in a position because certain outcomes are expected. Even in self-leadership, right? When you're leading yourself and you're practicing things like discipline or things like diligence, you're practicing those things because there is an expected outcome. When you're self-leading, for instance, I had to be at a place at the latest 7 a.m. this morning. If I'm practicing something like scheduling, like programming, discipline, and all that, I'm practicing those things to an end. So every form of leadership is tailored towards an expected outcome. If you don't have character, it means that you will not be able to meet those expected outcomes. If you're in a position wherever, from self-leadership, again, I'll start from home, from self-leadership to being a class prefect, to being a youth advocate, to being, a CEO of a bank, to being whoever it is, there is an expected outcome. Leadership is not just in, oh, I merit this position, right? I remember when I was in a class some weeks ago, and the person was just speaking of someone he felt he knew and things like that. And when he heard how much this person was earning, it was like, person was earning like 9 figures, and annually. And he was just like, oh my God, like, this and this. But when he listened to the person's target for the year, and this was like over a decade ago, his target for a year, I think he was a bank GM or something like that. His target for the year was something that wasn't child's play, right? So it was more than just the comfortable living, so to speak. It was more than just, how much this person was paid. To whom much is given, much is required. So there is always an expected outcome. Leadership is about outcomes. It is always about outcomes. It's not a placeholder kind of thing, right? You're not giving roles or responsibilities just as a placeholder. If you're a moderator of this session, it is a role you've been given, and there is an expected outcome. There's an expected outcome that you're going to moderate the flow of the event. There's an expected outcome that if something goes wrong, you're able to communicate with everyone who is attending the course. This has happened, but we're going to get back very soon. Possibly do some music interlude, like just keep people on till whatever is wrong is fixed, right? If I as a speaker has overshot my time, you moderate and say we have 5 minutes more. Just ensure that things move smoothly. There is always an expected outcome. But if you're a person who is careless, or a person who is not diligent in their work, right? The course is going on, and as a moderator, you leave the environment of what is going on, and you're watching movies with your friend. If something goes wrong, you wouldn't know, right? And that's because you're not a diligent person. That's because you don't understand how to make or set priorities, right? So if you have not made those things important to you, again, I'm jumping slides, but the importance of character is that the expected outcomes, right? And in leadership, most of the times, leadership exists because there are also people who need to be led. It's not just about only outcomes, but a lot of times leadership exists because there are people to be led towards a common goal. Now, if you have character, if you have good character, because character is a bit of a neutral thing, so you then get to decide whether character is good or bad, right? So if you have good character, or if you have character, so you can also speak of character as possessing good character, and you say this person has no character, it means this person has no qualities that we can write home about. So I think I will use it in that regard. So trust and respect is something that happens when you have character. When you're a diligent person, when a person knows, you know what, I can hand this thing over to Mosumario and go to bed. I can hand this thing over to Malik, and I know that it would go smoothly. And even if anything goes awry, I know that this person will find a way around it. People can tell what you're good for, right? Trust and respect happens when you have character. And if you don't have character, people resent you, right? People don't trust that you're leading them to the right place, so they will always rebel. When there are instructions to be taken, they would always want to rebel. And when you have people that do not listen to you as a leader, you cannot meet expected outcomes. So it's very important to have character. Another importance of character is basically a grit and growth mindset. I mean, I feel like this is a component of character in leadership, right? If you don't have, leadership is not easy. You can see leaders or people who are living seemingly flamboyant lives, and while that may or may not be so, it takes a lot to be able to achieve things, except you're in a quick scheme, get rid fast kind of establishment. It takes a lot. Like, leadership is not the easiest thing, right? Am I still sharing my screen? I don't think so. Am I still sharing my screen? Okay, yes, I am. Like, leadership is not the easiest thing. You're going to meet a lot of hurdles. Managing people, even in the first instance, is not a walk in the park, because you're looking at people from different backgrounds. You're working with people from different backgrounds, different orientations, and you have to harmonize all those influences, to work together. But what I'm trying to explain is that as a leader, you need to have resilience. You need to be able to go through obstacles. You need to be able to fail and not throw in the towel, but say, we're going to keep going. You need to be able to say that you need to have a mindset that is not based on the past, is not stuck in the present, but one that looks forward and keeps on making progress. And that is a growth mindset. Creating opportunities, identifying problems, preferring solutions, right? If you don't have character, then you wouldn't have grit or a growth mindset. And without these things, whatever you're doing will flop, because I promise you, there is no path you take in this life that will not experience obstacles, that will not you wouldn't experience some kind of resistance. But if it is worth it, and if you're a person who has developed strength and developed other personal attributes or whatever it is, or if you have people around you that can support you up, you will be able to make it through. So it is very important in leadership to be a person that has grit and growth mindset. So without character, that is almost always missing. Without character in leadership, crisis management will always be disaster. Again, leadership is very important, because once there is more than one doing a thing, then you can be sure that there will always be conflict. Always. And conflict is not necessarily, is not always a bad thing. Conflict is just basically differing opinions, right? But with two different people, or three different people, we have 500 different people, we have different approaches, we have different philosophies, so there will always be bound to be conflict, right? And if you don't have character, you will blow every conflict out of proportion. You will bring down everything that has been built because you don't know how to resolve conflict, or because you're the person constantly instigating conflict in the very first place. And then there's crisis management, things that happen outside your control, and possibly outside the control even of the establishment where you're in, or whatever it is that you're doing. Character is necessary because it enables you to keep what is the most important thing in view. So everything that you're doing and every approach that you're taking in managing any situation is done with the goal in view. As a person who has character, you always understand what is important. As a person who has character, you have the systems that enable you go back to what is important, so that even if you forget, there are systems in place that remind you of what is important. So every approach you take, whether for gain, whether for management, whether for proactive or reactive approaches that you take, are done basically with that common goal in mind. Now, with character, you're able to navigate change. Change is not an easy thing. And a lot of people think that, a lot of people, please, I would really appreciate knowing how much time I have left. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Navigating change management is a course on its own. Like people actually go to study that in universities, right? It's something that you find in MBAs or whatever it is. But navigating change in any setup is not the easiest thing. If you're not a person of character, of course, your leadership style will be more authoritarian if you don't understand that navigating change is something that should be done collaboratively. Navigating change, we've always done this in a particular way, and one day you just come and say, no, we're doing it this way, and that is what I've said, everybody follow me. That is not the way to approach change. That is absolutely not the way to approach change. But if you have not understood that, if you have not known personally, and this is why I say leadership is first a personal thing, right? If you have not known how to transition yourself from one place to the other, you will not know how to, when you're leading people, you will not know how to transition people from one place to the other. If you've not experienced patience with yourself, if you've not known how to, move from waking up at 11 a.m. to waking up at 5 a.m., you will not know the importance of properly transitioning people from one way of doing things or whatsoever it is to another. So character is very important, because without it, everything that has been built, all the building blocks are shaky. All the building blocks will be shaky if there is no character in leadership. If a person who is leading, doesn't possess and implement certain qualities, every building block is just a time bomb waiting to go off. And there's a lot of importance of character in leadership. But the truth is, for you to be effective, you need to understand the qualities that make the work you're doing seamless, that make the work that you're doing, like effective, that takes away the chaff from what is substantial. So developing values and personal development strategies. Know thyself. Honestly, I can't say this too many times. Know yourself. Know yourself. Be intentional about spending time with and by yourself, right? This is a very important thing. It's a very important hack, and it has worked for me, and I believe that it would work for anyone. Take time out to ask yourself questions, right? Take time out to understand what is important to you. you can segregate them. I call a number of these things buckets, right? So mentally, what is important to you? Emotionally, what is important to you? Spiritually, what is important to you? Financially, environmentally, vocationally, what is really important to me? Happy by. Who do I want to be in 5 years? Why do I want to know who I want to be in 5 years? Some people, after sitting with themselves, realize that, this who you see yourself being in 5 years is not a question for me. And that is okay. But some people are living with the pressure, oh my God, every single time, oh my God, I don't know that 5-year answer that people always have. People say in the next 10 years, they want to be this, I want to be this. I don't know. That question is not for everyone. But the truth is, if you have not asked yourself certain questions to even understand why that question is important to you, you may not know that this is something that is not relevant for your own path, and you will keep beating yourself, every single day of your life. You might say, look, this question is not important to me because X, Y, Z. It's not just enough to say, oh, it's not important to me. No, ask, probe. Ask yourself questions. The things that you live by, the things that are principles, the things that offend you, the things that make you really impressed. Question the why behind those things. Understand yourself. Know yourself. Be intentional about spending time with yourself. It is very important. Make time out to spend time with yourself. Alone. We spend time with our friends, we spend time with our loved ones, we spend time on social media, we are abreast with all the trends, we are abreast with the latest changes, we can tell you of the latest modifications that have been made to a social media platform 2 minutes after it has been made. But you can't distinguish when you started reacting to a particular product or when you started reacting to a particular kind of environment or kind of community. You can't distinguish when that happened because you're not paying attention to something that should matter. You're not paying attention to yourself. You don't know when you became an authoritarian, a dictator in your family or amongst your friends or in your workplace. You don't know when that switch happened because you're not paying attention to yourself, because you're not spending time with yourself. And this is very important because you carry yourself everywhere. Imagine going about with this entire entity that you have no knowledge of. It's like going about with a can on your head and you don't even know why the can is on your head. To every single place with that can. And you just know that it's supposed to be there. Why? You don't know. Is it for birds to pass or fly over your head and poop in it? Is it for rain to fall and then it is filled and then you go to drink? You don't know. It could just be anything. That's how lots of us are moving with ourselves like shells, and we have no understanding of what is important to us or why the things that are important to us are even important in the first place. It's not even just enough to know this thing is important to me. You need to question the why. Because sometimes the things we are comfortable with have an origin that is rooted in hurt, have an origin that is rooted in fear, have an origin that is rooted in pride, have an origin that is rooted in greed, have an origin that is rooted in low self-esteem. And you need to be able to identify the origins of the things that have formed your moral or ethical compass. And if those things are not things that are honorable, things that are noble, you need to begin that journey of separating yourself from them. Your drive to be a person of influence should not be because you want people to see you and respect you. I don't believe that is a worthy drive. It's okay, but I don't think it should be the foundation of your drive. It should come from a place of purpose and fulfillment, and every other thing that comes afterwards should be a bonus. Because take away the respect of people, are you satisfied with yourself? Are you fulfilled with yourself? If nobody is clapping for the work that you're doing, if you have not blown, if your name is not everywhere, would you be satisfied with yourself? Are you fulfilling purpose? Because the heart would always know. right? So know yourself. Question why. It's not just enough to say a thing works or does not work. Ask why and find it. And if the origin is rooted in something that is not pure, then you need to find a way to detach yourself from it or to reconfigure and find a truer and a more sustainable sense of origin, right? So commit to the process of understanding your core values, which are your guiding principles, your ethics, your moral code, whatever name it is that you want to call it. You need to commit to the process of understanding, and it changes over time as well. It changes over time. So I just want to see if I have someone, if someone has reminded me. Okay, so I have about 20 more minutes. About 20 more minutes. All right. So yeah, I have 20 minutes and I've gone just halfway. Don't worry, I'm going to speed up a number of things. So commit to the process of understanding your core values, and these things evolve over time, right? It evolves over time, and you practice these things in the little. I'm bringing some examples that don't seem, overly there, because these things, these values, the things you practice, they start very small. So I used to be a tea. Okay, I think I'm moving back again into my tea phase. I used to be a tea person. I can have tea with. There is nothing I can have tea with. Nothing. I drink a lot of tea, right? And there was just a period I thought I was struggling to have tea. Like tea was just another thing I would have, like, and it just worked. And I was struggling with it, and I was still forcing myself because somewhere in my mind I'm a tea person, so it has to be tea. Till I came to a realization some months after that, I don't seem like I'm a tea. It doesn't seem like I'm a tea person. And I've been a tea person since I've been a kid, right? Like, and this is how many years later, how many decades later, and and it's okay, right? It's okay if you've moved on to something else. It's very okay. So your core values may or may not change with particular seasons and times. There might be a phase in your life where work and whatever are like commitment to work, those are priorities. Well, there's still a difference between that and core values. However, there are certain things that will change at different points in time, at different seasons in your life. Certain things will change. So be open to that too. Don't insist when certain things that you have said your core values, have experienced when there's a shift or when the season is calling for a shift. Don't hold on to them in those cases too tightly. I'm not saying when your core values are tried and tested, you let go of it just to conform. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are seasons and there are times that will call for some, modifications. All right, so understand what is important and relevant to you. I have gone through this already. So identify the buckets to pour into. And that's something similar to the slide we just saw, right? That's something similar. Thank you very much, Chizaram. I just hope I pronounced that. Thank you very much. I'm happy to know that it's an impactful session for you. Thank you. And to everyone who has left a comment that I haven't seen, thank you very much for being here, for paying attention, and for your encouragement. Thank you. All right, so identify the buckets you want to pour into. You see, the thing, while I was preparing for just a few minutes before I said like preparing for this session, because I love to write. So I would almost always do my work. I was actually I made notes on my phone, but it didn't work. So I still had to get my pen and my paper to write. And before that, I was writing a new plan for my day, for how to use my day from rising time. I was making some adjustments, right? And it helps me understand the buckets I want to pour into every single day. What kind of buckets do you want to pour into every day, or every month, or once a month? You need to identify, you need to know, and it shouldn't be mental. It shouldn't just be in your head, because too many things happen for you to just be random about your personal development or growth. Too many things happen. Life happens. You can't keep everything in your head. It's not possible. I'm a medical doctor. I'll tell you, it's not possible, right? Even with your best intentions and everything, it will take such a while to remember every single thing. That is not the way to work. There are systems that enable you hold on to those. So use those systems. I know Josh said, oh, I remember. You don't always remember because things will happen. Identify, take time. What buckets do I want to pour into every day to be, oh my goodness, I can't even believe that I omitted a very important step in anything that you're doing. When it comes to leadership, when it comes to self-regulation, when it comes to personal development, one of the very important things, I don't know how I missed putting this on this slide because I don't see it anywhere. One of the very important things is deciding who you want to be, the quality of life you want to live, the quality of service you want to give. You need to be able to define that. You need to know that at every point in time, who do you want to be? And I'm not saying, oh, I want to be a lawyer. No, who do you want to be? You need to be as specific as possible, right? Like, I want to be a person who is known as reliable, who is constantly building a thing, who is learning from failure, who is abundant in wealth, in this, in that. You need to be very specific because almost everything takes its cue from that. It's when you have identified who you want to be, then you know the relevant steps that are necessary for you to take to become that person, right? So identify the buckets to pour into that feed into that version of yourself, the highest possible version of yourself as a leader, as the person. Those buckets, identify them. I think that's what I was trying to do here. I don't know, that's what I was trying to do there. So identify those buckets and pour into them. You need to write them down. I'm telling you, write it down. And I'm not saying write it down because everybody likes to be a writer. Write it down because that is what is useful. Write it down. Oh, I'm not used to writing. I don't like write it down. Dump those things. Have a journal. Look, don't even do it on your phone. Write it down. There's a psychology and there's an effect that it has on the brain when you write things down. So when people tell you to write things down, it's not because they just want to say write it down. It's not because, oh my God, no, I can't write down. I'm not a girl that keeps a dear diary kind of thing. You're deceiving yourself. Write it down. It's very, very important to write things down. There's an effect it has on your brain. And these are things that happen on less conscious level that help you. And you have no idea, how important that is. Understand the cost, right? So if I'm going to pour into these buckets, or if I want to be this person, or if I want to grow, or if I want to develop, these are the things that I need to do. You need to know the things that would give. Because at every point in time, every time you show up as a person, or every time you show up for something, or every time you give yourself to something, it's at the expense of another thing. So you need to understand the cost of becoming the highest version of yourself, whether as a leader or as a leader. I'm going to use the word leader because I think we've already established that every one of us here is a leader because at the very least we're self-leading, right? So sometimes the cost will be investments. It may be courses, right? Sometimes the cost will be plugging yourself to different kinds of opportunities. Sometimes the cost will be the fact that you cannot roll with the same audience or the same crowd. Sometimes the cost will be that you have to divorce procrastination. You have to divorce waking up late. You have to divorce giving excuses. You have to divorce the victim mentality. If only I was a trust fund baby, things will not be like this. There are people that have so many people that have stories. There are so many people with great stories that had nothing and built an amazing and incredible life and have become renowned leaders that you can look up to. Quit the victim mentality, right? Quit any blame game and take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your growth. Take responsibility for how you lead or how you serve and pay the price for it, right? Understand that there are people you would come across that are accelerators. You need to find how to get plugged to these people. You need to be intentional about a lot of things. You need to be intentional about your platforms. So many people that are doing similar things like that you want to do. Connect with them on platforms, and instead of just connecting with them to increase your number count, send them a message. Oh, I see that you're doing this thing. I've always wanted to do this thing. Would you mind a call? Would you mind, for those of us who can afford tea, would you mind coffee? Would you mind this sometime? Find a way to politely engage with people and learn from them. There are free resources that you can learn from. Some of them will be paid resources, but understand the cost. Give room for progression. We're in a place where we want everything to happen quick. Oh my God, I want to be this kind of person that is known like this. I want it tomorrow. I want it next month. You need to give room for progression. You need to give room for growth. You need to allow character to be, even character formation is not a thing that happens just because you desire it. It is work. And if you don't have a grit, if you don't have grit, and if you don't have a growth mindset, you won't even allow character development to be fully formed within you. You will give up along the way because it is work. Trust me, it is. So you need to give room for progression and understand that in personal development, things take time. Don't rush to have processes completed. Document your journey. I can't say this well enough. Document your journey. Write about it. Take pictures. Leave memorials of things. Like share your story on professional platforms. Share your stories on Medium. Share your stories on a blog. Find a way to ensure that you are documenting your journey, your fails, whether your fails in leadership, your fails in self-development, your fails in whatever, your wins in leadership, your wins in whatever, your opportunities you've seen, the opportunities you desire. Document your journey and don't be ashamed of where you are. Build confidence in your journey, right? Build confidence in your process. Okay. Yeah, build confidence in your journey, build confidence in your process. Believe that you're on your way to getting where you need to be. If you don't have faith in your process and faith in I've struggled with that myself. Trust me, I have struggled with that. Like most of the times when I doubted my process, it was such a horrible experience going from one point to the other because I was so clouded with doubt and fear. And those are not partners for greatness at all. Like those are not partners with greatness at all. So you want to believe that you're on the right path. You want to believe that what you're doing is worth it. You want to believe that even if you didn't do it well today, you can do it well tomorrow, because those things will show up. And it will, like, a lot of things will show up, from failures to feeling inadequate. Those things will show up in any journey you're on, whether a leadership journey, any journey you're on. And you need to understand that even if you didn't do it well today, you will learn and you will do it better tomorrow. Set up accountable systems. This is very, very important, right? It's very important. So from worthwhile communities that can help you stay accountable, to mentors, to books, reading books, right? You may not have, oh my God, I want Tony Elumelu to be my mentor, this and this. That's a long shot. Find a book. You can read about so many people, about their journeys, about their lessons. You can compress time with reading books. You don't have, there's so many things we tell that we're waiting for and we don't have to wait for, because we already have an abundance of resources at our disposal. Read books, listen to audiobooks, have someone, partner up with someone and say, look, let's try and read one book in a month. Every day at 9 p.m. I'm saying this because this is something I did. Every day at 9 p.m. let's have a phone call and discuss what we learned on this chapter. Let's share with each other. Let's share the lessons we're learning. Let's have a Google sheet and write action steps based on the things that we're learning. And let's check in with each other and see how we're implementing this. Set up accountable systems with what you have already. A lot of times we think, oh, if I just have more. There's an if, I think it's Didera, I can't remember, but there's something that's called, you just feel like, if I have more of this, if I have more, it would never end. Start with what you have, set up accountable systems, serve, do something outside yourself, right? To be an effective leader, to be a good leader, you need to be able to do things that you're doing without a reward, right? Everything has a reward to it, to be honest, but I hope you get what I mean, that you're not like paid a salary for, right? That nobody is giving you an award plaque for, those things that are not really in the public eye. Volunteer with organizations, take an unpaid internship. And I'm saying you need to understand the time and the seasons to do this, right? There are times and seasons to do this. So you need to do it with context. There's context to do those things, but serve. Make sure that you're serving. It can be in your local community. It can be in your local church or whatever place of worship it is. You can serve. There are so many opportunities for you to do something outside of yourself for somebody else. So practice gratitude. And this is not just, oh my God, here again comes these people. There is a lot of clutter in our everyday life. And we can become so absorbed in who we are not and the things we don't have, that this is all we see and all we know. Practicing gratitude is a very powerful tool of unclogging those closed, those things that have been clogged by doubt, by fear, by the feelings of inadequacy. When you practice gratitude, it unclogs those things. It helps you stay with a mind that is clear, a heart that is full, a heart that is cheerful, a mindset that is enthusiastic and looking forward to moving forward. Gratitude is a very powerful thing. It really transforms us. So practice gratitude. Find something to be thankful for. If you're partnered up with someone or you're working with someone and you just feel like, why does this person you just never get it right? Find something that has been good about that person and be thankful for that thing. It's very powerful. And I wouldn't share with you things that I haven't done myself. There was a time I was working somewhere. And I was a leader, and I was finding it so hard to get certain points across. Like there were so many bottlenecks, and I wrote in my journal, like thanking God for my superiors, thanking God for those I was leading. I prayed for their families, and I told myself, these were people that were, I seemed like they were really frustrating my work every single day. I told myself I wouldn't speak negatively about these people. I wouldn't do this or do that. I would every day, every time I feel things like this, I would go to this place where I have written about them and I would be grateful for them. I'm grateful for the things I have learned from them, grateful for the things I admire from them. I know I have about 4 more minutes and I'll try to wrap up real soon. So it's very important. I've spoken about great and I've spoken about growth mindset. Sorry, that's supposed to be mindset, not mindset. So yeah, I'll skip that again. So building trust and integrity. Trust is earned by repeating who you are on different levels of consciousness. So trust is not something that you demand from anyone, right? Trust is something that is earned. And it's earned when people have a track record of who you are. And who you are is not something you can completely fake, because at different points in time, whoever you are would show up. It would show up when unforeseen circumstances happen. It would show up when there is a challenge. It would show up when there is a crisis. It would show up when there is abundance. It would show up in different regards. So when you're a person who is formed, who has core values, who has things that centers them as a person, no matter what happens, no matter what seems to compress or enlarge you, it is the same thing that will come out of you. And people learn to trust that. So you need to be consistent in character. And what do we say character is? Character are the mental and moral qualities that make up who you are. So you need to be consistent with the qualities that you show. And the qualities that you show is really who you've spent time developing, right? So you need to be reliable. You can't be a person of integrity if you're not reliable. If you say, oh, I'm going to get you a box of pizza after today's session, and you just don't do it. Even if the person doesn't take offense, subconsciously, it is beginning to register that you're not a person of your word, right? If you say an event is going to start at 2:00, honestly, I believe that it is going to start at 2:00. I rarely think, oh, some people have to remind me, there's a thing called, I don't believe in it. I don't appreciate it, right? It's just, it doesn't make any sense, right? So if a person says this thing is going to end at this time, please, can I have 5 more minutes to wrap up? I'm almost done. I have just 2 more slides. If that's okay. Be reliable, right? Be reliable. Take responsibility. And this is why when someone said leadership is responsibility, I said, yes, it is. You need to take responsibility. A lot of people love the perks of leadership, but not the hard aspects of leadership, right? They're hard conversations, they're hard decisions, they're very simple decisions, they're whatnot. So many things that have to do with leadership. You need to be able to take those positions when it is necessary. You need to be able to have hard conversations. If someone has done something wrong, you need to be able to approach them in a professional way, but also in a way that is amicable, right? In a professional way, but in a way that is amicable. And let people know that if there's a problem, Ruth will come to me. If someone says, I think Ruth has a problem with you and she's not saying it, and I think she mentioned it to somebody else, you can say, nope, Ruth is not like that. If Ruth has a problem with you, she's going to come to you and she's going to she's going to ensure that it is sorted out. So hard conversations are not things you shy away from, right? Making hard calls or hard decisions. When you're a leader, those decisions, there are a lot of those kinds of decisions, depending on the industry that you're in or depending on the place you're in, you will need to make hard decisions. Sometimes it can be firing someone, right? Sometimes it could be deciding who goes on a trip, right? Sometimes it could be deciding who gets a promotion. It could be different things, really, but there are always hard calls to make. There are always consequences for actions. Even when you've done everything right, sometimes things don't go well. You're leading a team and somebody messes up. Different things happen. You need to be able to take responsibility. And yeah, things like that. You also need to be able to respect everyone, from the janitor to the CEO. You need to respect everyone. When you respect people, respect is reciprocated. So you're not even a person of integrity if respect to you is reserved to only certain people. Respect everyone by virtue of their individuality, by virtue of the fact that they're individuals on their own. Respect them. Accord them the respect that is due them. Don't say, oh, because this person doesn't respect themselves, I'm going to talk to them anyhow. That's just a subpar kind of behavior, right? You're a person that should respect everyone, no matter who they are. Trust me. Do not impose your values on others. As much as you're working to harmonize things, you don't impose your values on others. Again, there's a way to transition people from a pattern of thinking, a pattern of behavior, a pattern of doing things to another. So rather than imposing things, find a way to transition people from one place to the other. It could simply be how effective your communication is. Instead of saying, you must do this thing. If you don't do this thing, there's a way you can communicate to people that easily transitions their behavior, their beliefs, their attitudes, their approach from A to B. All right. So conflict resolution and crisis management. You're not taking sides because you prefer one person to the other. You're a person who has wisdom because they've given themselves to learning and personal development. So people can trust that if there is a conflict or if there's a crisis, you will manage it well. But again, all these things will not be possible if you have not learned to lead yourself. So character development in leadership happens on an individual, it happens on a foundation of individual character development. Personal development is something that you need to be committed to doing, not just now that you're young, for life. A lot of people have died, in quotes, because they have stopped developing themselves. You think, oh, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80, there is nothing more for me. Nope. As long as you have life, there is a reason to keep improving yourself. So I hope that every one of us who has listened today has a resolve to further develop themselves, to be better leaders, to seek accountable systems, and to make the most of every opportunity that they have to lead or to serve. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Ruth. I've learned so much from you today, and I'm sure others did as well. One of the key takeaways, should I say the summary of this whole training is that character is an important aspect of leadership. It involves developing the personal quality and traits that allows us individuals to lead effectively, such as empathy, and self-awareness. By focusing on character, oh sorry, my network. Character, and leaders can build trust, inspire others, and create a positive organization culture. I really like that, and that's basically the summary of the whole training. I believe it's a topic we all need because um it will help us to become a better leader. And I would like to share my perspective on leadership. I believe that leadership is not limited to a specific group of people alone. Rather, we all have the potential to be leaders. It's in our DNA. The key is to cultivate it, develop our leadership aspect and the ability so that we can make a positive impact in our personal life and professional life. So it's a topic that we all need to develop ourselves to become a better leader. And I'm grateful for this training, this program in general, and I'm sure everyone here too, they are also so very grateful. And I'm sure a big kudos to Mr. Maiwa for organizing this whole program. It's a big privilege. People pay for this kind of lecture, but here we are hearing it for free. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again, Miss Ruth. We are so very grateful. John, are you here? Okay, John, over to you. Thank you, Miss Ruth. Okay, so please, if you have any question for Miss Ruth, kindly signify on the from the comment section. We attend to that, please. Question and answer, question and answer. We'll be glad and excited to answer your question. Question and answer, please. If you have any okay, Miss Ruth, my own question because me, I I was attentive, so my question is not really a big question. My own question now is, please, how can I get your slide because I really like this topic.
So I could send that to Mayowa.
Okay.
I could send that to him, and I'm sure I hope I think he will be able to. I think he'll be able to send it out.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we'll be expecting this. Now, that's my question. Now you've answered my question. Your answer is yes. To share this slide. Yeah. So others, please, do you have any question for Miss Ruth before we say goodbye to her?
So I know, how do you explain accountability partner? I think that's a question, right, for me. An accountability partner is basically, can you hear me? So an accountability partner is basically someone that holds you accountable and someone, okay, so first of all, there is an agreement on a goal, right? There's an agreement on a goal and a person holds you accountable to a thing. It could either be a one-way thing or a two-way thing, right? So for instance, I want Motun to be my accountability partner because I want to have read 6 books by the end of the year, right? And then we set up systems. So I'm going to check in with you every fortnightly to know how progress is going, this and this. You're going to send me your book recommendations at the beginning of every month. And you're also going to send me how many chapters in this book, everything that enables you reach that goal. It shouldn't be someone you would take for granted. It should be someone, and I mean, you can literally take anyone for granted, but you also still have a part to play. You can have an accountability partner, but you, at the end of the day, you still decide, whether you would cooperate with them, right? So again, there's still a lot of self-discipline, but this person helps you because a number of times it's a lot better when you have someone at the other end of what you're doing. So for instance, I was meant to be at a meeting. I was meant to leave home at 6:30 this morning. And I had to be somewhere by 7. So normally, a number of times, because my weeks are usually very full, very, very full. A lot of times I'll say, oh my God, I'm going for this meeting. And then I'm just like, you know what, I need some sleep because my weekends are also quite full. But then having someone that I'm going with, right, is like it gives me some kind of accountability because now we have to call each other up, ensure everyone is getting ready, ensure that we are on time, ensure that we show up, we are back in time for whatsoever it is that we need to do. In fact, the accountability doesn't start from Saturday morning. It starts from Friday. We have to be up early on Saturday. It means that you have to go to bed early. Whatever it is, can we know the things that are there to do? What can I help you with? These are conversations that we had even up until this very meeting, because I got back into my home having a meeting and I was just looking at the time. I'm like, the moment it's time for this, I am jumping over. So it has been back to back to back. And the person said, what can I help with? Is your deck ready? I said, yes, it is. Do you have your talking points? Yeah, I have worked on this. Okay, walk me through your talking points. Walk me through how you want to deliver, this. And I'm like, okay, this is how I want to approach my topic and things like that. So yeah, that is who an accountability partner is. Someone who will hold you accountable to the things that you need to do. And it could be in any aspect of life, really. If you take life too seriously and, if you take life too seriously and you want to say, I don't know, what are the fun things that people do? I don't know, whatever the fun thing is that people do. You want to, I don't know, what are the fun things? Go to a cinema, right? Is that fun? Whatever it is, right? And I want to go to the cinema, say once a month. An accountability partner will hold you to that because you need some level of balance in your life. So it could really be anything that is a goal for you to achieve. I hope that clears it up, Kelvin. There's a slide I just realized I missed, but hopefully you all are going to be able to. I think I didn't touch on leadership styles, but I didn't touch on leadership styles, but I think it's something you can read up, really, because it was really interesting when I saw that. So I'm taking a course, and I think 2 weeks ago, one of my classes was on leadership styles. But I mean, there's several categories of leadership styles, really, several categories of leadership styles. Different classifications, different people classify. Sometimes you see, 3 leadership styles, you can see 4 leadership styles, you can see seven leadership styles. What I would just tell you is that you should always lead with empathy. you should always lead with people in mind, and you should never forget the goal when you're leading, right? You should be a person who has a reasonable amount of vulnerability as a leader. You should be a person who is a person of influence, and hitting the goal is important, but the people you're leading are very important, and they have to understand and experience that from you. You shouldn't be like, oh, you're just a means to an end. That's very horrible leadership. So don't go for authoritarian leadership where everything you say is bounding. Nobody has any opportunity to make contributions. It's only what you say that stands. No. And different seasons, different industries, different tasks will call for different kinds of leadership styles. So again, that's why I'm just leaving you with what is central, right? Keeping the goal in mind, being human focused or human centered, lead with empathy, and yeah, bring your core values to the table as long as they're good core values.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, my fact. I really get so much from this session, and honestly, I was telling Montreal that is there a way we can just increase the time so you don't go because I know that most people are actually loving this. And yeah, for the slide, we would really appreciate it if it can be available for us to be able to read through and
Yeah, I'm sure that
learn more about it. Yeah. So my somebody was actually asking how can they reach you, maybe on LinkedIn or
it depends.
yeah.
Yeah, so LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn is let me just type the name there.
You can send
So
it in the chat.
yeah, yeah, I will do that.
So, guys, while she's doing that, please, everyone, I believe you guys actually got value from this. I believe there's no way you will watch this and you won't get value. Okay, you want to say something, ma?
No. Do I have a chat box that is open that is not the private chat?
You can send it to the private chat. I think I can copy it, then
All right,
send it
all right,
to.
all right. So I write. So I write about different things. So you can connect with me either on LinkedIn or Substack. You don't have to
Okay.
subscribe. You can just find it, and I'll get the link and share on the private chat. So just give me like a moment.
All right, guys.
So
So, guys, while we are actually waiting for that, I want us to quickly go to our social media platform and tweet this because I actually got this. Without character in leadership, crisis management will always be a disaster. That is it. Okay, when I when she said that, I was like, wow, that is how can you actually manage crisis if you don't have that character, if you don't have the kind of character that's will actually help you to be able to manage that crisis. So guys, you can tweet this on every social media platform, all right, on your Twitter, your Facebook, and tag us, tag Ruth Dian Ebe, tag Ivy Lead, just tag us, okay? Tag us on every social media platform, and we'll get notification. And trust me, the first three comments, the first three people that we actually capture, you are giving them a gift. So I'm going to quickly share the what's it called, the link now on our chat box so that you guys can actually go to it now and follow her on every social media. This one just be following and be going. Anywhere you want to follow. All right. So Material, you can continue while I copy this.
Okay, thank you, John. Please, before we continue, if you are here and you're not following our social media, please, that's Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I think you're wrong. So please, John, can you do me a favor by posting all the links on the comment section so that everyone can follow?
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. Actually, it's still under. You can see it under. It's scrolling under, so you can just go there and also search for it too. Okay, so the link to Miss Roots is actually there. Substack. Please, which one is this Substack? Is it your profile? Is
no,
it LinkedIn? Which
no. So I used to have like an email community where I just share like life lessons and lots of like They're like more personal information, or basically life lessons that you could use to navigate different aspects of life. However, I moved to Substack. So for Substack, you don't necessarily need to subscribe. You can subscribe, that would be great. But you don't necessarily need to subscribe. You just need to go to that link and then you see anything I write there. I just have one. I've just moved to Substack, I think last week. So I just have one.
Okay.
If you're just interested in life, lifestyle, faith, whatever it is, you can then
All right.
subscribe and you get into your inbox and all that. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. In fact, we have to let you go now. Thank you so much. We hope to
Okay.
actually have you again next time. We'll talk to Mr. Maiwa to bring you by all means. Maybe that time is going to be a physical training, not this virtual training, right, Montreal?
So, so it has been.
All right. All right, ma. So I'm going to
Thank you
thank you,
so
ma.
much for this note.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
guys, that's it. And we I just want to say some things before we actually close this session. Wow, it's just 3:01. Wow, that was so fast and on point. Okay, so I'm going to drop the link to every of our social media platform. And guys, there's something, if you are not if you are not on our community, you might not be able to get the video of our trainings. Okay, so you need to join our community, and the link to join our community is actually pinned in the comment section. So Mochara, can you please confirm that for me if it's actually pinned on the comment section on YouTube, or the link to join our WhatsApp platform, our community platform on WhatsApp is actually pinned there for. Okay, so that's once you click it, we are going to respond to you and you can be part of our community. So, guys, so just go there. So, this is the link to all our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and we are also going on Thread very soon. We are going to be thread left, right, center. All right. So, so that is so. Our next training is going to be honestly mind blowing. I told you guys the last time that this week is going to be mind blowing, and I'm sure you guys can actually see it. You can actually testify. Next one is really, really going to be mind blowing, and I want everybody to go and tell your enemies, go and tell your friends, go and tell your anything, anybody wants to tell them, and let them come join Ivy Lead. This is a moving train. All right, this is a moving train. Okay, so please follow us on our social media platform. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, you won't get notification at all. You need to subscribe to YouTube channel to be able to get notification whenever we want to actually stream. You will be the first person to actually get notified. All right. So until I see you guys again, I'm going to leave you with our is it African soundtrack? Should I call it? But is that African soundtrack? Or what kind of soundtrack is that? So many people have been asking about that soundtrack that we use for our video. The soundtrack is we just make you dance by all means. All right. So guys, take care. Have a wonderful day. Okay, yeah, Motora, I want to say something. All right, Motora, I'm with you.
Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed today's day. So I just to know before we say goodbye that being a leader is not just for a specific group of people, or it's just only for some people. Um, I just want everyone listening to know that okay, you have the ability to be a leader. We all have the ability to be a leader. It's in our DNA, and I know you all know what DNA means. So the the ability to be a leader is in you. You only just need strength. You only just need ways to improve, to develop the ability. So I want you all to have it at the back of your mind that you can do whatever you put your mind into, and you are a leader, and be the salt of the world. How should I say? Be the ambassador of Ivy League. Thank you. Don't forget to retweet and like our pictures and everything on social media, to share, like, comment, tweet, and yes, thank you so much, guys, for joining. Till next time.